Hey now, cats, we're back again this week on the Balls from Ellwood show, and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is.
Not Christmas, you
No.
assholes. It's Halloween almost. It's fucking October.
Woo!
There's mere days, weeks away until the amazing spooky season, and there's so much to look forward to. We got the Chucky series coming up. We have Halloween Kills in less than 2 weeks. We have... What else is coming out? There's another show, I think. Shit.
I don't know.
I am grossly unprepared today, cats. I have to say.
That's all right.
But, Joe Bob's going to be on this Friday
right.
with, who is it? Blumhouse. Jason Blum and Gordon Green from the Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends.
Big time stuff there.
Yeah, so there's so much stuff to watch. Let's just get right into it. We just watched season 3, episode 1 and 2 of the new Creep Show season, and so far so good. It's still a lot of fun. Still enjoying it. You like it?
Yeah, I don't like it as much as the last couple seasons. It seems like they're, I don't know, maybe reaching a little far, or something's missing, but nothing's really like wowed me yet. It's good. It's entertaining. It's worth watching for sure, but yeah, I'm hoping it picks up and really, gives me a wower.
Yeah, some of them are hit or miss, like even from the other seasons. But I mean, the good outweighs the bad.
Sure.
But I'm, you never know. We might not. It's only 2 episodes deep. We probably haven't seen the good stuff yet.
Hopefully,
so
they're saving the best for last.
Like Vanessa Williams.
Absolutely.
But anyway, moving right along, let's just get into the stuff we watched thus far. We watched Escape Room 2. What'd you think of that?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I actually thought it was going to be really shitty.
Right.
Because I'm
sequels,
like, I'm like,
iffy.
I'm like, where are you going to go from here?
Exactly.
But I have to say,
they gave it a whole new twist.
It actually was really good. I was surprised. Plus, casting Isabella Thurman was definitely a plus. If you don't know who that is, that was the psycho girl from Orphan.
Right.
So I thought she actually kind of made the whole movie. They had like 2 different cuts, and initially they cut her from the theatrical one. So I'm glad I waited for video, because I can't even imagine this movie. She kind of was the whole movie. So I'm glad we've seen the director's cut.
Absolutely.
So,
didn't realize. Other
than that, we have, like I said, there's so much stuff coming on. There's so much stuff coming out. I can honestly say, I never thought I'd be able to say this. A month and some change. Next month, I finally get to see Ghostbusters.
Oh boy!
So I never thought I'd be able to utter these words. I'm super excited about that. The new Empire magazine, there's 2 different colors. I'm going to try to hunt one down today. Check that out, cats. There's an exclusive look at Ghostbusters Afterlife. Anything else? What else have we watched? Does that cover it all?
We've been watching one of the greatest, coolest new shows with some really old guys. Steve Martin and Martin Short, with, of all people in the world, Selena Gomez, and it works, and it's called Only Murders in the Building. It's on Hulu, and it's super up my alley, because it's about, I guess, a crime podcast in a way, and without giving too much away. I mean, obviously, the title kind of gives something, but they live in a big apartment, somebody gets murdered, they're trying to solve it, and they decide, let's start a podcast. And, they have no clue what they're doing. They're old guys. They're technologically challenged. And then they have Selena Gomez in the neighborhood, or in the little, big apartment complex. And they have her help them. And Nathan Lane makes an appearance and becomes an integral part of the show. It's pretty interesting. It's very different, very unique in its own way. I mean, it has... shocking elements. Very cool show. Funny. I don't know. What do you think, Balls?
You know what? When I initially heard about it, I heard about them talking about it on when Martin Short and Steve Martin was on the Howard Stern show. Mm-hmm. That actually kind of made me. True crime's really not my thing, man. It's your thing.
Yeah.
But just hearing them talk about it kind of piqued my interest, and I knew it'd be something that me and you could watch and probably enjoy. So. Right. I have to say, pleasantly surprised. I'm surprised. It was weird. He said he wrote this thing like it was like 9 years ago.
Oh wow!
And it's like it's very odd, because I mean the true crime podcasts are like everything now.
Right.
Everybody's all into that.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised. I have to honestly step back, I think this is honestly probably one of the most constructed and well written and just fun shows of the year. Like, I mean, I went in thinking, oh, it'd be good because I enjoy those guys. I grew up with those guys. If you look on Ball's shelf up there, you'll see a copy of Three Amigos, which, you know, that's the pinnacle. I mean, I grew up on Parent. I grew up with Steve Martin, the Jerk. I mean, I think I always loved the stand-up. I love him. I love Martin Short, Ed Grimley. I used to be a nerdy kid that loved Ed Grimley, and I grew up with those guys. I think they're very clever. They have always been really funny to me, and it was a no-brainer to watch them together because they do play off each other really, really well. Their chemistry is really, really good. They're really, really funny. I mean, I heard they have a one-man, like a two-man show, I guess, where they pretty much just come out and just riff off each other.
Oh, that's fun.
I would love to go see that if it comes around here. But I have to say, I haven't seen anything yet that is as well written and fun as this show. So, like, I mean, quick little interesting fact, Cats, you've seen the band Rusty Eye on my show before, the Mexican metal band. Drummer and singer Miss Randall, her husband actually did the amazing animated opening sequence for this film.
Yeah, that's great. Well, show, not a film.
Not film, show. I'm sorry. Wow, I'm so used to talking about movies.
I know, right?
Yeah, but he did the opening sequence of the show, and it's amazing. They actually did the sequence from the movie Cruella. So, I thought that was pretty cool, man. So,
big stuff.
Yeah.
It's getting that Disney money.
Yeah, cha-ching. But, please check out Only Murders in the Building. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. It's it keeps you guessing. It's on your seat. I'm not even going to talk shit on Selena Gomez, because,
no, she's actually pretty good.
I actually say, man, I thought she's pretty good. I going in, I'm like, fucking Selena Gomez.
Right,
really?
Exactly.
She's a pretty good actress.
Good for her, you know. I love when Disney stars get themselves away from the Disney.
Yeah,
niche.
she's actually kind of a happy story, you know.
Yeah.
Usually they crash and burn, and
right.
But I mean, she's doing
Other
really
than dating
well.
Justin Bieber, you know, she's doing all right.
Yeah, but she already commented on that.
She got rid of him.
It's funny. My favorite story about that. She was on Jimmy Fallon after they broke up, and he had actually asked her, "Have you, is it true that he took your virginity?" And she said, "Only the first inch." So I thought,
oh my God, no, she didn't.
Oh, she did. So she kind of won me over after that. I thought she was pretty fucking cool
that's
for that.
hysterical.
So she's pretty funny.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of things that are disappointing, at least thus far, I don't know if we talked about it before.
We did.
When
we were all high about it when we first started watching
things happen like that too. You know, we don't love everything, you know, and we'll get all high and hung up on some crazy cool show, and then it falls flat. So for us, that is the brand new cherry flavor show. It's on Netflix, correct?
Yeah.
I think, and it started off really strong, and I mean, it's really weird, which we were kind of okay with, but it just kind of has gotten redundant. I feel like we're on episode 5 or 6.
We only have 2 left.
Okay, so we have 2 left. We didn't finish it,
and it kind of came
off
the rails.
We can finish it. It
kind of completely. I lost interest completely.
It
got very repetitive and then.
Yeah, it's just now it's being more kooky than it is giving you the purpose of the story, I feel.
And not only that, there's so many questions that you have and none of them are unanswered. I hate things like that. That's why I hated Lost. They gave you all 45 questions and I answered 1. And stuff like that's very frustrating to me. But yeah, I mean, we're all high on it now, but I mean... we'll probably
finish it, but it's going to it's going to be a struggle.
But I mean, if we're bored, I guess.
Right?
But there's tons of other stuff we need to check out. So I mean, other than that, Cats, like I said, we're looking forward to the Chucky series we got coming up. We have
be fun.
We have Halloween Kills coming up, and there's just a ton of stuff coming out for Halloween. They resurrected Elvira on Shudder. That went really well. So. Her memoirs, Yours Cruelly, is actually on the bestseller list right now, so check that out, Cats. I got a new record from, as you know, I love Bad Time Records. There's a Brazilian ska punk band called Abracadabra you need to check out. Their record just came out. And speaking of Bad Time Records, tune in after Xtina's Depravity Corner, because this week I had the pleasure of interviewing one of my favorite lead singers, producers, writers of ska punk band We Are the Union. She does everything. She's a writer. She's a producer. She's been the front woman of We Are the Union for years. I get to talk to the amazing Reade Wolcott. So stick around for the interview after that. And as for that, I think we're done, Xtina. How about you give us some Depravity?
Well, yeah.
I'm sure we haven't been around for a while, so I'm sure there's probably a lot.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody, I think, that doesn't live in a cave knows this story by now, so I'm not going to really go into great detail, but I would be very sad and very disappointed in myself if I didn't address the Gabby Petito death, which is it's very sad. And I've been, as you all know, especially when a case that's as big as this is happening in real time, man, I'm like, oh my gosh, so I've been driving him nuts. I mean, I've been trying to not drive him too nuts, but like, I'm watching breaking news. I now have a favorite news anchor out of Tampa, Florida, JB Buno. Here's to you. Yeah, this is how, like, I watch them all day. And, I mean, they're just... Here's the thing. So, Balls has questions.
I have never in my life
had a favorite news anchor. Oh, yeah, I do now. So, I did when I was little. I liked all the... Yeah, I'm a weirdo. I'm a news person, I guess. I should have been a news anchor. I was in my wheelhouse for a while. I was thinking about it, but here we are. I missed my calling. So now I'm a podcast host. Yay!
You're halfway there.
And there we go. So here's the thing. If you haven't heard about Gabby Petito, you clearly live under a rock. I
even know about that.
Yeah, he even knows. And it took him a minute. He was a little behind, but he got it. So her young girl, 22, real cute, blonde hair, blue eyes, goes on a road trip with her boyfriend. They decide to, quit their jobs and take the trip of a lifetime. Buy a little van, make it a little, like, apartment, so to speak, and take off and go to, like, the, Utah and see all the national parks and Wyoming and Yellowstone and, whatever you can do. So they've been at it for about 4 months, and she was making she wanted to start a YouTube channel because that's clearly popular now, and people that are into this van life type stuff are going to love it because there's people out there that love that. We're not much for camping, but, I wouldn't mind having a nice swanky bougie RV and traveling the country. I'd be okay with that, but little van, not so much. But anyway. They seemingly have this adorable, cute relationship, kissy, lovey-dovey pictures, get along great, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I mean, that goes to show you that you can't always believe what's presented on social media. Exactly. Everybody shows you their very best, and this is a prime example of that.
Exactly. And I think for her, I've been in her situation. You do your best to try to make yourself believe that the bad times are just, not that bad, and the good times outweigh the bad, but she's young and, inexperienced in relationships, and I guess didn't see the warning signs. But, we have come to find out that he returns to Florida pretty much all the way across country with her van and her. And like 10 days go by. And finally, her parents can't find her, can't get a hold of her. He's not answering. His parents aren't answering her parents. She lived with them. Like, how inconsiderate, okay? So finally, they're like, well, we got to file a missing persons report. I mean, what are you supposed to do? So next thing you know, they're, doing some searches in the last place she was seen. The cops go to their house, this laundry family, the Dirty Laundries, as we in Crime Land, John Walsh, I think, adopted them as that, as they are. Knock on their door looking for young Brian, and he's not wanting to talk. Here's a card. Here's our lawyer. Call him. Why do you have a lawyer if you didn't do anything wrong?
Yeah, that's
and wouldn't you be screaming and crying if the love of your life disappeared and you don't know where she is and you drove all the way across country without her?
I think you would at least show some modicum of concern.
Right. I mean, at least fake it, dude. Like, Chris Watts at least did that for a little while. I mean, we still knew he was full of shit. But
I mean, he wasn't a great actor,
no,
but at least he put in the effort.
He at least tried to put in some effort to a fake story, which I think
I was just like,
I almost think I respect that more. But anyway.
Meh, she's gone. Meh.
So now, we're searching for her, and this is what's kind of cool too, is in this day and age, 2021, to think that you're going to get away with anything is just mind-boggling to me, because there's cameras everywhere.
Pretty stupid.
Right.
Everybody you walk around with has a camera.
Right. So, and how they luckily found this poor girl's body, at least to give her parents some sort of, I guess, so that they at least know that she's not like out in the woods, like running from bears constantly. I mean, maybe it's just me, and I know it sounds silly, but listen, I would honestly rather know that my loved one is deceased than have this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that they're constantly being chased by lions and tigers and bears, as ridiculous as it sounds. Wouldn't you though? I mean, it's a sad thought to think about.
Yeah.
At least they're, I guess, sort of at peace. I mean, when you don't know, the unknown is worse than the known, I think, regardless of the outcome, in my opinion. But obviously, this is a horrible outcome. Nobody wants this. But again, how is she dead? And how is he? What's going on? They had a great relationship, right? No. Apparently, 2 weeks prior to this, 2 separate people witnessed them in an argument outside of a little dairy mart or like a convenience store, him slapping her in the face.
Dude.
And then taking off in the van, and 2 individual people that didn't know each other in separate occasions called 911. I mean, how often do you call 911? Very rarely, if ever. So, I mean, if you felt that it was that dramatic and that scary for you to make that call to 911, it must have been pretty bad. So, luckily, the cops pulled them over, and there's a whole video. You can watch it on YouTube. It's an hour and a half. Of course, I watched the whole damn thing. It's very interesting because you see her demeanor and you see his demeanor, and it's very telling. She's very hysterical, crying, sobbing, very fragile and broken. He is like kind of almost giddy and like joking around with the cops and like not a care in the world kind of thing, And the sad part is, I guess the reason this scuffle happened is he tried to leave her there, locked her out of her van. She climbed through a window. They got, physical some more, and I guess she smacked him a couple times. So who conveniently has scratches on them and who doesn't? Brian does. So he now, and the cops did a great job. I'm not going to knock them. Based on what they saw with what they knew happened, they were like, well, clearly he's the victim because he has the wounds. I mean, I guess you'd have to make that assumption, right? And she admitted it. She said, yeah, I did hit him. And they were going to arrest this poor girl who's being abused by her man and was basically defending herself. Now, they came to the conclusion that, we're not going to arrest you, but we are going to separate you for the night. Put him in a hotel, left her with her van. They weren't to have any contact for the night. Okay, fine, whatever. Then I guess they met it back up the next day. No charges were filed. It's a whole kasha. Then, funny enough, 2 weeks later, she's gone. But in the midst of that, he has to leave her in a hotel in Salt Lake City from August 17th to the 23rd. It's about 3 or 4 days to fly back to Florida to help his dad move some things out of storage. Do you know how much flight costs from Salt Lake City to Florida? Easily $350, $400. He couldn't hire somebody to help him move stuff? I find that very odd. This whole thing is just so bizarre. So then he flies back there. They have a scuffle in some restaurant that some girl was a witness of. He is losing his shit. She's crying. It's a whole kasha. And then, 2 days or a day later was the last time she was ever seen. Text messages were sent to her parents, but they were real iffy. Like something about Stan, and Stan is her grandpa, and she would never refer to her grandpa as Stan. Like, just kooky stuff. So it's all very confusing. Unfortunately, and I guess in a way, fortunately, her body was found. They did an autopsy. They did rule it as homicide, but they didn't give us a cause of death yet. So we're all waiting on pins and needles for this cause of death. Is it strangulation? Was she stabbed? Was she shot? What's going on? In the midst of this, there's a lesbian couple that got married recently, got murdered, ironically, the day of Gabby and Brian's fight, and then he miraculously had to take back off to Florida. But the only thing that keeps me from thinking he had anything to do with that is they were raped, and that doesn't seem to be his MO. Plus, I don't feel like he had time for that. I don't know. Maybe. You never know. People do strange things. And he could have been, maybe he hated lesbians. I don't know. So, I don't know. I mean, the timing is awfully ironic, and the fact that it was the same area, and the one girl worked at the place where they had this big fight, and I don't know. The whole thing is just bizarre, wacky, and the family is not cooperating, and now they report him missing. So he's been missing now for over 10 days. They're putting millions of dollars into searching for this dude. He's probably dead. He probably killed himself. Or he got on a boat somehow and he's in Cuba. Who the hell knows? I just don't know in 2021 how you can not find somebody. I mean, he totally went off the grid. I don't think he has a phone, so he can't ping anything. It's just crazy. And it's so crazy that Dog the Bounty Hunter got involved. And now, I know, Balls poo-poos this whole Dog the Bounty Hunter thing, but
wow, what an opportunist thing to do.
Okay, and I agree.
Nobody gave a shit about Dog the Bounty Hunter before this.
Right, Dog the Bounty Hunter is a smart man. Here's why. No, honey, listen, he is good at what he does, and he has a team of former FBI and things behind him. However, he's smart
because...
Here's
what he does. People give him an address. He goes and gets them. And then when they're there and they're not there, he goes and talks to their family and friends, and then they just roll on them, and then they go and get them. Yeah. It's not that difficult.
Well, true. But he obviously wants the attention, wants to get his show back and rolling.
Obviously.
Ding, ding, ding.
He's a hate monger anyway, so fuck that guy.
Well, I agree. But here's the thing. People are more willing to speak to a quote-unquote celebrity than they are the FBI. So if anybody knows anything, there's a chance they may tell Dog before they tell the FBI. So, I think the FBI is not thrilled about him being involved, but also at the same time, it's kind of, it could work for them at the same time. So who knows? He's searching islands, they're searching ravines. God knows where this Brian dude is. If he's not dead, someone's going to freaking get him. What I'm hoping happens is, remember that documentary we watched with the Night Stalker, Ramirez? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he escaped from jail, and they were looking all over for him, couldn't find him, and then, the public found him. And there must have been, 100 people swarming in on him, beating his ass. Yeah. And that's the best outcome. That would be the greatest thing ever. But you can't kill him. If he is alive, don't kill him, because, we need answers. And granted, he could never talk. He could never tell us. It's going to come out some way, somehow.
Just kill him. He's never going to
say
anything.
Exactly.
He's never going to admit guilt, so just kill him.
Yeah, I agree.
Make sure it's long and slow.
They'll figure it out. But it's a sad situation. Another thing, though, that is the good that's coming out of it is people are now more in tune to domestic violence. I think a lot of young women are re-questioning their relationships. There are people that have been missing because other people are like, look, my son's been missing for blah, blah, blah. Why can't you find him? Why'd you find her so quick? Can't we research this? And then all these other people that went missing in the same areas, they've already found 2 or 3 or 4 now more missing people because of this Gabby Petito case. So it's drawn a lot more interest in finding missing people, which really is a good thing and really needs to happen. And also draws a lot more light to, domestic violence. I mean, I don't think she thought she was in a domestic violence relationship. She just thought that, and she would take the blame, oh, it's my fault. Yeah, he slapped me, but it's my fault. No, girls, it's not. It's not. That's not normal, And guys, too, I'm going to say, because there are psycho women out there, too. I'm not going to knock that. So, if it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel normal and it makes you feel like you're on eggshells, please just leave. And I know it's not that easy all the time because then things get more psycho when you do leave. But there are resources out there that can help you. Mm-hmm. There's a domestic violence hotline. There are domestic violence shelters. They are in place for a reason. Please take advantage of them. They're free. A
lot of these places weren't even readily available.
Right.
It's sad. A decade ago, you probably didn't even have anything like that.
So there's a lot of resources. Look them up in your area. Please don't put up with this shit. Life is way too short, and it can be so good. You don't need to stay in a situation that makes you uncomfortable or, maybe it's not ideal. Maybe it's not, but it could be better. No, it's not going to change. Nothing's going to change. Just, when it's right, and you'll know it. Right, honey?
Yes.
I mean, really, though. We're not being... the risk of being cheesy, but we're being serious. I mean, this has never been...
I can honestly tell you that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, from day one, the both of us... It was seamless, flawless, no drama. Sure, we have arguments. Sure, we have issues. But they're minimal and they can be worked out if you're like sort of sane people. So, because we're sort of sane. Did you know that?
No, we're not.
I know. All right. Anyway.
Don't lie to these nice people.
Oh, and okay, one more cute thing, because I have a picture I want you to put up. I thought this is another, I like having good out of bad situations. And here's the good. The good is Gabby she was in a split family. So every time they interview her parents, it's her dad and her stepmom, her mom and her stepdad, and they're a unit. And they're always, the four of them always together. Gabby had a tattoo, Let It Be. I guess, I'm sure she had I'm sure obviously it has something to do with the Beatles song, but I'm sure it meant something more to her. All four of them went and got matching tattoos of Let It Be on there. It was like,
that's sad.
I know, they did a press conference, but it was so sweet. But it's so precious to see that, again, if you're in the right relationships with the right people and you keep the right people around you, you can work as a cohesive team. I mean, Balls and I have a daughter. She has a dad. She has a stepmom. Are we best friends? No. But I mean, we all get along, and God forbid the situation, we would all do anything and everything we can, and we would work together to, for the best outcome, because that's what you do to make a decent human. At least we hope. That is all I've got in Depravity Land. I mean, you can be a psycho like me and follow this case every 5 minutes and check into WFLA with JB Buno. He's all right.
But before you do that, Kat, stick around and check out our tour and of the Haunted House restaurant in Cleveland. We actually had an opportunity to go check that out before a Coheed and Cambria show. It was quite excellent, super cool place, super amazing food.
Oh my gosh, so good.
But we'll get into that. Check that out, and like I said, after that, stay tuned for my interview with Reade of We're the Union. Other than that, we will see you next week for the super spooky balls from Ellwood Part 1 Halloween special, so don't miss that shit, kids.
Yeah.
See you next week. I hope not.
Is he not out there?
Oh, thank you. For sure. As you can see, kids, there's all kinds of cool memorabilia when you go in. Cool thing is, you can go to the ticket counter.
How can I help you?
I'm actually just doing a little piece for my show, and I was showing the audience around, and
okay.
I was showing how cool this little ticket booth thing is here, so thank you very much. As you can see, various road posters. All kinds of cool stuff on the walls, cats, from all kinds of different horror. Even though the ceiling lights are cinema canisters, we have all kinds of cool stuff to check out. If you're a horror fan, you're going to love this place.
They have one called the same.
The only thing I can say, cats, that's better than being here is actually being here in person. So please come on down to the Haunted House restaurant when you're in Cleveland. You won't be disappointed. Peace and love. Hey now, cats, I'm back again this week on the Balls from Ellwood show, and I actually am here with Chris Thomas of the Haunted Restaurant, the Haunted House restaurant.
Correct.
And we had such an incredible time here. If you're a horror fan like myself and the audience I'm talking to, you're gonna love this place. I'm in Cleveland, and I'm here with Chris Thomas, is it?
Chris Thomas.
And he's gonna tell us, how did this place come to be, Chris?
Me and my partners, we just loved horror movies, so we thought it'd be a great idea to have a haunted house themed restaurant. Just, something that's like an attraction for Ohio, something that we were missing, where everybody can come together who loves horror movies, and we can all just be in one happy place together.
So what was some of the horror movies you grew up on?
Chucky, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, things like that.
What's the best place about having your own horror-themed restaurant?
Just seeing everybody here happy together.
I love it, man. We had such a great time. Xtina, what'd you think of the haunted house?
Oh my gosh, like so many thumbs up. Amazing. Incredible. Best mac and cheese ever.
I am here. Hey, cats. I'm here with Shug from the Haunted House restaurant. Can you tell us a little bit of what you have to offer horror fans in the way of your restaurant?
Absolutely. Well, my name is Shug. I'm the Good Thrill Ambassador here at the Haunted House. We have a great mix of people that come here that are horror fans and foodie fans. We have a celebrity chef that made our menu. Chef Darnell has restaurants all around the country, so he's got a following. So we try to find that nice mix of making the horror fans happy as well as the foodies. So what we do to make up for having a festive environment, sometimes horror fans are like, it's too happy in there for us. We play a lot of horror movie trivia, name that tune. We have songs playing, like right now you're hearing Johnny Cash from the Dawn of the Dead. We try to put little nuggets in there to keep our horror fans engaged while they're eating some good food and drinking some good drinks.
Well, thank you, man. We surely enjoyed it. The food is killer.
Awesome.
The atmosphere is killer. We love this place. We'll surely be back.
Awesome.
Thanks for talking to me, sir.
Absolutely.
Hey now, cats, we're back again this week with the Balls from Ellwood show. And if you know me, you know I love We Are the Union. You know I love ska. It is a great honor to have writer, producer. What else can I say about this woman? Lead singer of We Are the Union. I can't say enough about Reade. I think you're a very inspirational person, and I love you so much. And thank you for your time. And let's get right into it. You want to answer some questions?
I'd love to, please.
Can we start off a little bit talking about how We Are the Union started out? I mean, where did you grow up at? Did you grow up in Ann Arbor, Michigan? Is that correct?
Sure did. Yep, from Ann Arbor, Michigan. We had a huge local ska scene in Ann Arbor that kind of like trailed Third Wave in a way. Third Wave kind of peaked, I think most people would argue, kind of in the mid to late 90s. And it was funny, in my hometown, there was like a big local peak around, kind of when I was in high school, like 2003, 2004. It was huge. I mean, and so like my high school bands and my friends' high school bands, we would play this awesome local nonprofit teen center that still is there to this day,
Nice.
doing shows and workshops and all sorts of cool resources for kids, called the Neutral Zone. So we would throw shows there, me and my friends, and anywhere from like 200 to 400 people would show up just for like local ska show. No headliners, no anything, just like that was what Ann Arbor, Michigan was doing from, like 2002-ish until, 2005 or 2006, but it was really big in like 03, 04. It was incredible. Yeah.
Our Pittsburgh ska scene was like that too. I mean, I always feel honored to like grow up through like that, I mean, it was such a great, I have some memories. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Were you always passionate about music? Like, what age did you find your passion for music? Was it very young?
Yeah. So I was classically trained on piano starting when I was 6, and I hated it. I hated it. But I stuck with it because, my parents they felt it was really important. And then around, 11 or 12, I was kind of like, hey, I listened to a lot of rock music. Like, I kind of think I might want to play guitar, And so, of course, we went through the traditional American roundabout of like, okay, well, we'll get you an acoustic, and if you learn how to play it, then you can get an electric. And I think from the second I had that first acoustic guitar, I don't think I've gone more than 6 hours consecutively without a guitar in my hand, except when I'm asleep. Since then.
You mentioned your family. Were they musical as well? I mean, is that why they had encouraged you?
No, I mean, not necessarily. My mom does play a little bit piano. She's been playing ukulele lately. My dad is not musically inclined at all, but he does appreciate it. I mean, he was going to see AC/DC on the Highway to Hell tour. So he's always been a music fan. But no, he, to my knowledge, I don't know that he ever played, but certainly not in his adult life. My mom definitely, dabbles. Like I said, is learning to play ukulele right now. Every once in a while, she'll send me a song. She's like, "I learned how to play this today." I'm like, "That's super cool." So definitely, I think a little bit more of the encouragement, kind of came from my mom. But both of them were very like yeah, you should learn how to play music because it's good. I mean, studies show it's good for your brain when you're learning to have, to have some sort of music in your repertoire.
Can you remember a defining moment when you realized that music was going to be more than a hobby for you?
Honestly, the second that I got that acoustic guitar.
Oh, nice.
It was that moment. I became so attached to that thing and so attached to just playing guitar. And that's all I wanted to do. It's all I ever wanted to do from that moment on. It's the only thing I could think about. It's the only thing I cared about from that moment on. And it really started there. When I was 12, 13, it was just like, it encompassed my entire mindset. And it's the only thing that I've ever been that transfixed with. It's never, because I have ADHD, so I'll like hyperfixate and then kind of go away on hobbies a lot. But that one never left, not even for a second.
You had mentioned earlier, I mean, was that how you discovered ska? And what song or band changed how you heard music? Like I call it the Chasing the Dragon. Yeah. I remember the very definitive moment where ska came into my life, and like I just became a sponge.
Yeah.
After, do you have one of those moments?
Absolutely, yeah. So I was playing as I was entering high school, like leaving middle school, entering high school. I was playing a lot of like classic rock. I loved AC/DC. I was playing. I knew every song on Master of Puppets. I was that kind of guitar player. That's what I was into. I was into, rock and metal, and then I guess it was 8th grade going into high school. My sister introduced me to the Green Day CD Dookie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is awesome. This is so cool. And then, two kids in my class in 8th grade were like, oh, you like that? Cool. Check out this. And, they gave me like, I think must have been Underground Network, Anti-Flag, and a bunch of other, burned punk CDs, because that's what we were doing at the time. And they were like, yeah, like, I told them I liked it, and they were like, cool, like, come by and jam. We jam in one of the guys' parents' basement. And so I literally just like kind of came over with my guitar, and then we just like for that like second half of 8th grade, and then into like over that summer and into high school, I mean, we were there probably 3 days a week at least in that basement, just playing punk rock songs. And around that time was kind of when ska was really happening in Ann Arbor. And so there was kind of a moment where like, my friends' names at the time were Ben and Alex, and they were like, our friend Jacob is going to come play with us. And he's got all these cool ska songs. So we started learning. The first ska song that I learned was Johnny Quest, Things Were Sellouts by Less Than Jake.
Nice, Less Than Jake.
That was the first one. And then from there, it was like, then I heard, of course, like, Specials, Message to You, Rudy, A Little Bitch, like all the hits, of course, right? And so that really was kind of my intro. I kind of got like a ska 101, sort of by proxy through these friends in middle school and in high school who were like, yo, check out these bands. You like this, you'll definitely like this. And then of course, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater happened, and I became obsessed with Superman by Goldfinger and New Girl by Suicide Machines.
It's funny. I talked to a lot of people that soundtrack, first real introduction to ska. It's amazing to me. I mean, it never was killer. I mean, it's still to this day. But mm-hmm. It's really interesting. I think they're doing a documentary on like that. It still amazes me. But where did you come up with the name We Are the Union, and how did the band come to fruition? Was it from just jamming with people in the garage, and then you met people that you ended up jamming with, and it just all came to be, or was it into a band? Or
so we after that I stopped jamming with the Jacob and Alex and Ben. I started playing with a couple of my friends from high school, because those guys had been people that I went to middle school with, that I still kind of hung out with as I transitioned into high school. But once I got to high school, I met I met a bunch of people who were obsessed with ska, and we started a terrible band called the Scafia. And that was my main band for most of high school. Honestly, I mean, we did that for probably a good 3 years, and then towards the end of my senior year, we kind of stopped. We stopped playing together, and that's when myself and Matt Bellinger, who played both in the Scafia, he played trumpet at the time, played both in the Scafia and in another band that I was in called After School Special. Just incredible band names. So Matt and I had played together in those two bands, and when both those bands kind of fell apart, we were like, well, let's just start a new band, and so that was like late, kind of like second half of our senior year in high school, and we started to gain a little bit of traction, because that's kind of when like independent music on the internet was getting really easy. It was the MySpace days and Facebook days, and the early Facebook days, I should say. And so we put this band together, Matt and I, and we just started to gain like just a little bit of like people on the East Coast being interested and people kind of elsewhere being interested. And we were like, well, we just graduated high school, so let's go on tour. So we booked our first ever DIY tour, and it was a disaster, but it was incredibly fun. But that's kind of how We Are the Union came to be. It quite literally is my high school ska band. We used to sell a shirt that says "I still play in my high school ska band," which everybody thought was very funny, but nobody really got the joke, which is that I literally do. It's very different now than it was, 15 years ago. But it still is my high school ska band. But the name comes from, if you live in Southeast Michigan, especially, almost guaranteed that you know somebody in an auto union. Almost guaranteed you know somebody who works for Ford, who works for General Motors, who works for somebody and is in a union. It's a union state. It really is, especially the Southeast kind of Detroit area, and Metro Detroit suburbs. It's definitely it's union town. And so when you grow up around that, you kind of find it influences kind of every aspect of your worldview and of your life. And it's so funny. Matt, who I mentioned earlier, when we were starting the band, we were like, had songs, but didn't really have a name for it. And he was literally wearing a shirt that he got from one of his dad's work events. And it just said, it was the United Auto Workers logo on the side. And then it just said, "We Are the Union." Because that's the union chant, right? I mean, that's literally the beginning of every union chant, right? And he was wearing that shirt, and we were like walking around downtown Ann Arbor, trying, just like one of our many meetings, like, what are we going to call this band? We're just talking. And I just looked at his shirt, and he looked at his shirt, and I don't remember who said it, but one of us was just like, that's the band's name. Like, it represents everything that we're about. We both have family in the auto industry. It's kind of cool. It's interesting. At the time, nobody else was like, we are the whatever. We were like, kind of felt like, okay, this is cool. This is like really unique. And I've never heard a band name like that before. And then of course, a year later, the Fury changed their name to We Are the Fury. And it was all downhill from there. And then for the rest of our life, we became We Are the insert whatever other band. And I was like, no, it's a different band, and we were doing it before everyone else did.
What do you think you'd be doing had you not followed this path and been in a band?
I have no idea. Honestly, I like obliterated my life to follow music. I can say there was a time when I tried to quit music in my adult life. And I got really into mixology. I was a bar manager for, a couple of years. And honestly, I probably would have ended up there, somewhere in the hospitality industry. But I hated it. I was miserable.
I'm glad you came back, because I have to say, let's talk about the new album. I mean, I think you've made like one of the best albums of the year, if not the best album of the year. My wife never stops playing in my car, on my in the house, and I haven't got my vinyl yet. So second pressing waiting. So
yeah.
I can't even imagine. Let me ask you this: is there anything that you would not write a song about? Is anything taboo?
Let me think. Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words about the record. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's total truth. Yeah, I mean,
thank you.
Thank you, because I don't even know how much joy that album's given me. I love it, and I love all your other albums, but there's really something special about this one.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. As far as what I wouldn't write a song about, but yeah, so I think I found that like the most interesting songs I write are the ones that are things that I 5 years ago said I would never write about. You know, I think like when I was writing Ordinary Life, you know, I started really diving into talking about my ADHD, and that was really hard to figure out how to put in a song, you know, because, you know, there's been a million songs about depression. There's been a million songs about anxiety and hell, I mean, there's even been, you know, a lot of songs about dysphoria, you know, so I kind of found that I have found in my experience that anytime I think, oh, I would never write a song about that, usually a couple of years later, I'm like, all right, let's try it.
Assuming Short Circuit's a lot about your ADHD, correct?
Yep. Short Circuit, Broken Brain.
I love that line in it where it's like, can't trace the loose wires in my head. When you think about it and you like put it together with that, that's a really interesting way to think about that. I mean, it is kind of that way when you have that kind of issue. I mean, I see that reflected through the whole album. But let me ask you this: what is the best gift you would say anybody has ever given you?
That's a good question. You know, I think it's maybe not it's maybe not the most glamorous gift, but wait, no, this is way better. I got a better one. Sorry. I was going to go somewhere else with this, but I have a way. I'm thankful for editing at this moment. My girlfriend, Ray, when Ordinary Life came out to celebrate, made me a custom Barbie doll that looks like kind of like me, basically is like modeled after me, made like custom labels. They're like a multi-talented artist. They work in every medium under the sun. And yeah, they surprised me with a custom Reade Barbie doll with like custom labels, and they like changed the outfit on the character and changed the hair and changed a bunch of stuff about it. It was incredible. And they surprised me with that on release day for Ordinary Life, or not on release day, sorry, on announce day. Just surprised me. That's awesome. It was the coolest and most meaningful, I think, gift that I've ever received. It was just such a celebration of, like, you know, who I am and of the record, and the fact that it was something that like they made.
I was going to say that's what makes them kind of things special, because it's all that anybody could go and buy you something, you know, but anybody that puts that kind of like personal time and effort into it, it makes it all the more wow. I don't want to keep you. I know you got to be out at a certain time, so I want to kind of keep going here.
Yeah, sure.
You've obviously been influenced by a lot of great and different kinds of music. Yeah. Do you have a routine when you have a writing process? I mean, can you describe your process, and does ADHD make it more of a challenge? How do you deal with that when you're writing?
Yeah, I mean, ADHD makes it so that my process is different for every record. You know, it's different every single time I go to write. You know, I used to start by sort of writing the entire instrumental track and then putting vocals over that. And I, you know, have been encouraged by a lot of the people that I've been, you know, I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of songwriters that I really look up to, especially over the last couple months. And the one thing that I've learned is that I start at the wrong pot. I start at the wrong spot. And then and what that does is it sort of constricts my writing. And so what I've learned is, and what I'm trying right now is literally we're starting with lyrics, vocal melody. We're not starting with chord structure. We're not starting with what the song sounds like. We're literally starting with just what's the melody in my head right now? Are there words that go with it? Or what are the words that are in my head right now? Is there a melody that goes with them? And we're starting from almost nothing. I mean, it's quite literally, sometimes it's just a voice memo, of one line. And then that, I'll sit down with an acoustic guitar, or I'll sit down with, an electric guitar, or I'll sit down in front of Logic and maybe program some organ or something. But it really now is about starting from almost nothing. Because I learned that the more malleable the song is, once you get to the sort of like building the song part, the more you can effectively make the song serve the vocal, which at the end of the day, 99% of music listeners, the thing that they relate to the most in a song is the vocal, meaning the lyrics, the melody. Like that's usually the driving force in kind of the world that I operate in, right? It's the driving force behind the song. That's what people pull lyrics out of songs that mean something to them. So if you kind of like turn everything on its head, and we started doing this a little bit with Ordinary Life, if you turn everything on its head, and you think about, okay, what can we do to support whatever's taking the lead right now, whether it's vocals, whether it's, okay, there's a guitar solo, cool, everything else gets out of the way, it really opens up a whole world of like efficiency in songwriting, where you get to the end of the day and you're like, yeah, all the elements are here, but they're not like blasting into my ears all at the same time. It's like, okay, now we have the horns. Now we have a lead guitar. Now we have vocals. Now we have this cool organ feature that like pops in between the vocal and the next thing, And so then you kind of start filling your song in really interesting ways to serve what is ultimately what chances are everybody's listening to mostly, which is the vocals. And so, yeah, we've been starting really, really small now.
Has it been going well?
Yeah, I mean, so far so good.
Let me ask you, was Ordinary Life, was this the most challenging album that you've recorded thus far because of the personal events unfolding at the time? Or, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about how the album was made?
Yeah. It's funny that the most challenging thing about Ordinary Life, honestly, was figuring out how to record during COVID. My producer, John Graber, and I, who we're actually here working on some stuff today, he and I have been working together for a long time. We kind of released some singles where we were like kind of just testing the water of our workflow. But it wasn't the same without everybody. We wanted to, for the album especially, we wanted to get the whole band in the room, right? It's a band of 5 people. We want everybody there playing on the songs. And so the most challenging thing was like, okay, we're in the middle of a pandemic. How do we get us all in one place?
Did you use a lot of Zoom, or how did that happen?
Well, honestly, what we did was we quarantined together.
Oh.
We rented a house in the desert, and we made the record in Joshua Tree, basically quarantined together, in like October of 2020. Yeah.
How long was the process?
We were there for a little over 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we went back, so basically what we did there was, process for that record essentially was I would come in with a skeleton of the song, which means basic drums, just kind of programmed fake drums, guitar, and a lead vocal. That was it. We would start the day with that. And then we would start to build the rhythm guitars, and we'd start to build the lead guitars. And we figured, okay, what do we want the bass to do? Some days we'd start with bass. We just kind of we kind of felt with each song what needed to drive the rhythm section, and we would focus on that. And then we started to think about, okay, let's work on some horn lines today. So we would have Jerry, go stand in front of the microphone in the other room, and we would all kind of work out parts together. And it was all very collaborative, and it was so refreshing in the middle of a time when we were also isolated, to be able to get in the same spot and to effectively, like, it's funny. It's as challenging as it was. It allowed us to make music the way we've always wanted to, which is to sort of like hone in on everything in real time, rather than like, in the past where you like go in the garage and you play the song for 3 weeks, and then everybody gets really set on their parts, and there's nothing malleable when you get to the studio, and everybody's kind of dead set on what they're doing. By doing it this way, we were able to open up a whole world of opportunity. where we make sure that every element in those songs is servicing the songs.
Well, it definitely shows. It's amazing. I'm stuck. Speaking of the videos, to all the videos I've seen from that album, they're amazing and they look so much fun. Were they as fun shooting them as it is for me to watch them? I mean,
absolutely.
And how long did you have paint in like your ass crack? Like
weeks. I was pulling paint out of my ears from the Boys Will Be Girls video for weeks. You know, I would like shower and be like, oh God, okay, green today, okay. Yeah, it never ends. But yeah, the videos were really fun. We were very lucky to work with Chris Grau, who's an incredible videographer. And you know, he's efficient and he's fast to a way where like even when it's stressful, it's not, because there's never been a question of is it going to get done. And so even when things are moving really fast and it's kind of high stress, it's always just like, this is awesome. We're getting it done. Like we're making it happen, you know.
How has your musical influences changed from the time you were a child till now?
I almost listen exclusively to pop music now. So like, you know, we went from like AC/DC and Metallica, who I still love, of course, but like mostly what I listen to now is like, you know, I love Charlie XCX. You know, I love the modern Carly Rae Jepsen albums. Rebecca Black is making a comeback right now, and her new music is incredible. King Princess is incredible. Joy Oladokun is incredible. Like all these sort of like pop and pop adjacent artists is really what I listen to primarily now. But, you know, of course, like there's also incredible punk rock happening right now too, right? Like, you know, we listen to a ton of Pup. I listen to a ton of, you know, Charlie Bliss. I don't know if they would appreciate being called a punk rock band, but they're kind of like garagey indie rock. And with like a bubblegum sweet, like synthy edge that I fucking love. So, you know, there's a lot of that kind of influence. Potty Mouth was a big influence. Illuminati Hotties, of course. And so it kind of like, that's kind of where my brain is at now. I really now am focused on sort of like catchiness and, you know, efficiency of songwriting, like we were talking about before. That's kind of like where my brain is now. And I really am very interested in what makes a song catchy. And especially when it's something that is also lasting, you know, because there's cheap catchy and then there's lasting catchy, and you know,
there's really, like memorable hooks that'll live with you the rest of your life.
Exactly. Like, you know, everybody knows the chorus to like a Virgin. There's a reason, you know what I mean? Everybody for generations, you go multiple generations in any direction, everyone knows that song.
Yeah, I never really took the time to think about that, but that's pretty interesting. I mean, I can reflect back to many things and hooks that, like, you know, I never thought about that. To deconstruct a song like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel the ska scene has changed over the years, and you think it's for the better or the worse?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the internet has made it so what would be a local ska scene is actually spread out across the country. And I think that's been incredibly advantageous for all of us. You know, it's funny, there's like this little kind of circle of bands that's like, you know, a lot of Bad Time Records bands, but also just some bands that are, not necessarily on Bad Time, but, you know, they're very much still part of the community, if that makes sense. And so it feels so much like my like Southeast Michigan local scene, but it's just, you know, we're here and Catbite's over there, and, you know, Half Past 2 is down there, and, you know, Bad Operation is over there in Louisiana. And so it's like, but it still feels like a local scene, which I think is really cool. And I think that's kind of how the ska scene has changed more than anything else is, you know, this hyper connectivity, for better or for worse, in other areas really makes for an incredible sense of community, even though our bands are so far apart from each other.
Yeah, I feel like I like this whole quote unquote new tone scene. Everybody, yeah. I love the feeling. Like we had just went to see the Pie Tasters last week, and I love going to a ska show for the main reason that you can be of any walk of life. You can be 6 years old, you could be 60. Everybody's cool. Everybody's accepting. You go and you just dance your ass off and have a great time. forget all the fucking troubles of the world for an hour and a half, and it's just amazing. So like, I love the way things are going. And let me ask you this: what is the craziest thing a fan has ever asked of you?
You know, we haven't really had that many crazy fan requests. I think because, you know, I think because we haven't really toured on Ordinary Life, which is sort of the record that has gotten us to the place where, you know, we kind of actually have like a really solid fan base. I mean, we've always had, you know, a little, again, like kind of a tight knit community, but yeah, I honestly don't have any crazy fan request stories. Our fans are always just kind of like,
Normal.
no, I mean, they're just having a good time, you know?
Are you going to tour for Ordinary Life at some point? And will you come to Pittsburgh and get a picture with me? We can hang out.
Absolutely, yes. No, so we're heading out with the Slackers in December in California.
Oh my god! I'm friends with Vic and did you know Glenn is a big horror fan?
I love that. That's awesome.
I just talked to Glenn a couple nights ago, and whenever they're going to come down, they're playing in it was November. And
nice.
Go take them around and show them all the horror sites around here because there's
that's cool.
Pennsylvania. So we actually got married in the cemetery where Night of the Living Dead was filmed.
Wow! Oh, that's so cool.
So I'm going to show him that, and then right down the streets, the house where Creep Show was filmed, and down the streets, the post office from the Crazies.
Yeah.
The Monroeville Mall is like not too far from where Dawn of the Dead was filmed.
Yeah.
I show him all kinds of things before the show. So but he's a cool dude. If you ever want to talk about horror, he's the dude.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Very good to know. Yeah.
Does your mind ever wander when you're performing with ADHD? Is it hard to keep focused when you're performing?
No, it's usually easy for me to snap back into it. You know, but yeah, all the time. Yeah, it's yeah. I would say probably like every other show or so, there's a moment where I'm like, where am I? Oh yeah, right, on stage. Okay, let's go.
Is there any bands you've played with in the past that simply were not very cool?
What's that?
So is there any bands that you played with in the past that were simply not very cool to you? You don't have to name names, but
no, well, no, we've been so lucky. We've been so lucky that like I honestly can't think of a moment where I felt like disrespected or yeah, I mean, it's funny, Ray, my girlfriend Ray was saying to me the other day, like, all your friends are so kind and your band is so kind. And I kind of realized like, I have a knack for surrounding myself by like, you know, people who are similarly kind to me. And so I've just been so lucky that that's kind of seems to have like rippled out into other bands we played with too. Cause I honestly, I can't think of a single band that we've played with that I wouldn't love to play with again. I'm sure there's one that I could come up if I looked over the whole show history, but yeah, I wish I had a fun story.
If you could collaborate with one musician that you have not with yet, who would it be and why?
Rebecca Black.
Are there any songs that you ever get sick of performing?
Yes, everything off of Who We Are.
Wow. That breaks my heart.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to break a lot of people's hearts, but they're not going to go away. But yeah, I mean, I am very grateful that Ordinary Life is doing as well as it is, because it's kind of it's nice to feel like maybe we can play a little bit less off of that record. It's just, you know, I was 17 and 18, you know, 19, I guess, when I wrote. You know, those songs were all written between those years, so it's just kind of it's weird to like feel like I have to convey those emotions again when I kind of look back. I'm like, this is not who I really am.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Well, now we could get into the whole horror section of this interview. What kind of horror films do you like? And can you name the one scene that you've seen when you was a kid that scared the shit out of you and left a lasting impression on you to your adulthood?
Absolutely. So I'm a big baby when it comes to horror. I love the genre so much. I have worked in haunted houses, done set design for haunted houses. Like Halloween is my season. I love it. I love like all things morbid. I love it. But I'm a big baby. And so I can only watch, I can only really watch like extremely scary movies like twice a month, maybe at most. So I gravitate more towards like my favorite movie of all time is Beetlejuice.
Oh,
which is like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not, I wouldn't necessarily call it horror, but it's definitely, we're in the
comedy.
Yeah. I love Beetlejuice. I absolutely,
do too.
I mean, Danny Elfman also is like an incredible composer, and his soundtrack to that movie is.
Is there a score that he hasn't made that's just not fucking amazing?
I don't think there is. Yeah.
I gotta say, I have to say, what the fuck? Oh, shit. Oh, man. I totally lost it. Oh. The scene from a film.
Yes.
As you through your adulthood.
Yeah. So I saw Jaws when I was very young, probably too young to see Jaws. I want you to settle a bet for me. Okay.
There's an argument. Is Jaws a horror film? Is Jaws not a horror film?
I think Jaws is a horror film. Absolutely.
Thank you. I think it's a monster movie. But
Okay. No, I could see that, but I think the way it's filmed and written, like, yes, it is a monster.
Yeah, it's a sophisticated monster movie. I think that's what it's really associated with it.
And I think the way they film it and the way they draw suspense is what, for me, tips it into horror category, because there is that like fear. That movie puts me in the character's position in a way that a lot of monster movies, I think, don't really try to achieve, because that's not what they're going for, except for maybe like Cloverfield, I think, did that a little bit. But yeah, I think Jaws is a horror film, but only by like a notch, because I could totally see it being a monster movie. Totally.
I think the acting is so good too that you almost don't want to associate it with a horror film, because people aren't used to seeing horror films that are well acted and well produced and well directed. Right. I almost wonder if that's the case too. But I can name you mine.
Yeah, please.
Haunts me to this day. In fact, I have a buddy. His name's Sean Clark. He has the actual screen used from Poltergeist. When I was a kid, the clown from Poltergeist would make me shit my pants. Like,
absolutely.
It traumatized. I gotta say, it probably still does to this day. I mean, that and The Exorcist, those two things. Even to this day, it still kind of gets a little. But yeah, I've seen everything there is to see, and those still kind of give me the flutters. Like okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you consider? I mean, you said Beetlejuice is your favorite film of all time. What is your favorite? I mean, what is your favorite? Serious horror film.
Well, I think there are two, kind of from two different eras, and I know I'm going to catch flack for at least one of them. But Nightmare on Elm Street is
still a classic.
Classic, incredible.
It never gets old either. It's still its creepiness. It still retains its scariness.
And I like that it's like Freddy is so goofy, and yet so terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, he got way off the rails in the later ones, but no, he's still. I mean, and when you meet Robert Englund, he's like the sweetest guy in the world.
Yeah.
I met him when I was a little kid. I met him not too long ago. A couple years ago, we went to Horror Hound, and he was just like the sweetest dude in the planet. And then just like, wow, how can this guy be this villain and this scary and this? I mean, it still holds up. I mean, a lot of things don't hold up, but man, Nightmare still holds up. What was
it? So the other one is Hereditary, which I know it's like, what's that? Go ahead.
It's funny. Like, I don't know if it just doesn't, I don't know why it doesn't, I know that movie gets to people, and it really gets to people. It gets under their skin. And like, I really, really, I'm in the minority. I really wanted to love it. We went in, we all went in and really hugged up for it, and I didn't think it was that scary.
Yeah. Well, so my thing is, what gets me is
atmosphere,
supernatural. Slasher movies don't scare me. Texas Chainsaw, I love it. It's a great movie. I'll watch it 1,000 times. It is not scary to me. There's no lasting effect. When I end Psycho, no lasting effect. Halloween, no lasting effect. Anything slashery like that, right? Like I love those movies, but they don't stick with me. What sticks with me is movies that bend the rules of reality, right? So that's why I like Nightmare, right? Don't fall asleep, right? That's why I like Hereditary, right? Because that is a world you are no longer in control of. That world is happening at you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's so scary to me. And this is maybe a hot take too, but I love the new It movies. I think they're fantastic.
Did you like what was the one after Hereditary? Midsommar.
I've not watched Midsommar.
I actually liked that one. That one. But I see what you mean. Supernatural is always going to be scary because you have no control over the situation. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Like you're completely vulnerable. Like, I mean, have you seen Barbara Hershey in The Entity? That's my favorite example of supernatural horror, and it is
writing that down.
Fine. She is like she goes into this. She moves into this house, and there's a supernatural entity in it.
Okay.
The whole movie, she's getting raped by it and like violated by it, and she's not. There's nothing she can do to control it. It's fucking. It's like a coaster, man. By the time you're done, you're like, ugh. Like how the fuck? Like what else can happen to this fucking poor lady? Like I mean, like and then it gets into the psychological too, because then she starts to question: is this really fucking happening? Am I going insane? Like that's super fucking. Oh, if you love that, you have to check that out. If you can't,
I just wrote it down.
I will personally send you a copy.
Oh my god, please!
Totally
I want to watch that. That's great. That's my kind of thing. Anything where like the environment is happening to you, or the entity is happening to you, to the character. There's no escape. There's no, it's not like, it's not like you can just run away, because
that's what makes Freddy so terrifying. Because at some point you have to sleep, and you're gonna sleep, and you have no control over sleep. That's why he's scary. I mean, like I get you. I love slashers as much as you do, but I mean, they can always be stopped.
Exactly.
And there always is the the final girl or the hero, and they stop them. But let me steer a little bit. I know we're running out of time here. I want to make sure I get these in because thank you so much. I'm having such a good time. Having a good time.
I definitely am. Yeah.
Let me ask you, what is a surefire way to make you laugh?
So I really like, dark humor. It's got to be dark. It's got to be dry. It's funny. My studio partner and producer, John Graber, and I, we work really, really fast, and we work really intensely. And our whole workflow is kind of just talking shit to each other. And I can guarantee multiple times throughout every session, we're going to make each other laugh because somebody's going to be like, that was dog shit. Like I'll play something and I'll fuck it up. And Graver's like, that was dog shit. So I like, I like bits. I like kind of going after each other, when you have camaraderie with a person like that, I love being like, that was fucking terrible. You suck. That's always a surefire way once I have that kind of camaraderie with somebody.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time that fans might be surprised about? You kickbox or
nothing like that. But I was going to say I am. This probably makes sense since I'm on this podcast, but I am an avid haunted house enthusiast.
Oh my gosh! Do you have any? I have to have you back around Halloween time so we can tell stories.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I am a huge sucker for all things haunted attraction. I love them. Like I said earlier, I used to work. I used to be a monster. I used to be a set designer. I love a good haunted house more than just about anything in this world.
Ooh, you're just like me then. Have you ever been to Cerebus?
No.
I've wanted to go there. It's on my bucket list.
Wait, is that in Pontiac?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. I isn't it Erebus?
Or is it Erebus?
I think it's Erebus.
It's the one where all the different rooms in it have
it's certified longest haunted house.
That and there's each room there's guaranteed a room that has your phobia in it.
Yep. Yep, I've been through Erebus many times.
Tell me if this is true.
Probably a dozen times.
He's deathly afraid of suffocating. They say the room where you went in and it's pitch black and they start like, I guess it's ping pong balls, but they fill the whole room and it makes you feel like you're suffocating.
It's horrifying because it doesn't stop, because it keeps going, and you're like, at some point it's got to stop, and then it just doesn't. It does not stop. It goes all the way up, and then it finally releases. But I mean, it goes. It really makes you feel like you're fucked. It really makes you feel like you're in a bad spot. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
Have you been through the whole thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Many times. Yeah, I'm not joking. I've been through that haunted house probably a dozen times.
What is the best one you've ever been to?
Best one I've ever been to. Okay, so there's two answers to this, because I believe there are two categories of haunted house, right? There is Hollywood Horror Nights, right, which is like glitz and glam, not necessarily scary, family horror, but it's a show, right?
Yes.
And then there's also like little haunts, and so my favorite of like the big show haunts is I mean, it's Halloween Horror Nights in general, but it's honestly the Walking Dead maze. I think is awesome. It's such a show. There's a narrative. It's not scary, right? But it's just cool. Like the narrative is presented and it looks incredible. It looks like you're walking through the show. I love that. I'm such a sucker for that. I also love even the Trick or Treat maze is awesome. It's very fun.
I love Trick or Treat so much.
Yeah, it's
one of the best anthologies ever made.
Yeah. And
what do you feel about extreme haunts? Like
they're not for me.
Me neither. I almost feel like it goes against everything that haunted houses are created for. I feel like it's in bad taste.
Yeah, but there's a fine line, because the other category of haunted house is that sort of like, they call them trailer haunts, or just smaller scale. And I actually used to work at one in. It's sadly no longer there. We were in Warren, Michigan. It was called Deadly Intentions.
No way.
And it wasn't extreme, like where you're getting waterboarded and people are actually touching you. But I hope Howard's okay with me saying this. But Howard, our boss, always used to say, like, if you're not getting punched once a night, you're not getting close enough to people. So that was our whole MO. We weren't touching people, but we were on you. That was
enough to get elicit a response.
Exactly. So like, if you're not close enough for somebody to hit you once or twice a night, you're probably not getting close enough. Of course, he didn't actually want us to get hurt or anything, but we had great security and all that. But so I love that style of haunted house, and I actually think that's my favorite haunted house in that category. I was a huge fan before I worked there. I was working in another Southeast Michigan haunted house, and I went through Deadly Intentions, and I emailed Howard. I just cold emailed him after I went, and I said, I want to come work for you. I love your haunted house. It's so fucking terrifying, because there's no personal space. We got right in your face. And
can you make decent scratch work in a haunted house?
What's that?
Can you make decent scratch work in a haunted house, or?
Not really. It's a passion job, I mean, it's minimum wage. You're not making much money, but like you're getting paid to scare the shit out of people.
What better job is that?
Yeah. It's a brutal job. Like, I don't think people realize, like, the average haunted house patron, I don't think realizes that job it's painful. It is emotionally taxing. It is one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. I mean, you're covered in sweat. Yeah. Cause you're in the costume, right? You've got either a mask or you've got makeup. It's hot, it's cramped, it's sweaty, and you have to do the same action over and over again for 4 to 6 hours.
Have you ever got physically injured?
No. Nope. I'm very, very lucky that all the haunts that I have ever worked at were very, very safe. And most of them are. Most of them are incredibly safe. There's so much, fire marshals scrutinize haunted houses harder than just about any other attraction worldwide, or nationwide, I should say. They scrutinize harder on us than just about anybody else, and rightly so, because it's dangerous, right? It's cramped quarters. There's a lot of machinery. There's moving parts. There's pneumatic pistons going off. They have to make sure that you're basically putting people into a tinderbox. It's probably good to make sure that it's safe.
Well, I only have a couple more left for you because I know you got to run. But I asked you what your favorite horror film is. What is the shittiest horror film ever made?
Troll 2, but in the best way.
But it's so good though. For that,
it's so good.
Have you seen Psycho Goreman?
No.
You have to see Psycho Goreman.
I'm watching this. I'm writing that down as well.
Do you remember like the 80s, like the Amblin kind of stuff that we grew up on?
Oh yeah.
It's just so goofy, and it's so goofy and fun. Like the whole premise is there's these two kids, and there's this creature from space that wants to destroy everyone and the whole planet. So he gets locked up, and they put him underneath. They hide him on Earth so nobody could ever find him. Or destroy the whole universe.
Yeah.
Two kids are playing dodgeball, like this ball that Graham come over. They unearth him, and then they end up actually getting an amulet, so he has to listen to everything they say. So of course they're making him do like stupid shit. He just wants to kill them. It's so fucking funny.
I love that.
I recommend it to everybody. And what's amazing about it is the director is Canadian, and he creates this whole universe, and it's all conventional effects mostly. He creates this whole universe like for like no money at all. It's amazing. The set pieces are amazing. Like everything, the costumes, like it's like all that old school, like where they're using the uniforms and all that. It's just I can't recommend it enough. It's so much fun. It's like the most fun time you're gonna have at the movies forever.
Love it.
Yeah, you have to check it out. I got to send you a bunch of trailers.
Please, honestly, please do.
What's the most fucked up dream you've ever had?
I had a dream where I had somehow fallen asleep on Venice Beach. Right. I had somehow fallen asleep, and I woke up to a barrage of nuclear missiles.
That reminds me of that old Twilight Zone where she said everything stops.
Yeah, and what's funny is the dream literally was in black and white.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure it was probably some subconscious Twilight Zone stuff going on, from old episodes that I watched. But yeah, it was very Twilight Zone-esque. It was very just sort of like surreal, and I was just sort of like, oh, we're fucked. And then I woke up.
That would do it, man. I remember, it's funny. I remember now that actually triggered a memory when I was a kid. That there was I'm obviously older than you, but when I was in the 80s, there was a movie called The Day After. It was back in like the whole nuclear war scare. And this movie on like a TV movie, and it was about what would happen if we got nuclear war happened, and it scared the shit out of me, man. I have to say, because when you're a little kid like that, you don't really fully understand that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to die from a nuclear war. And this movie was terrifying because, everybody's dying from the nuclear war. but yeah, it was
yeah, wow.
One more song. Or not one more song. Jeez. One more
song.
With ADHD, does a song when you're writing it ever fully feel complete to you?
No. And that's true for all of my work, whether I'm writing, whether I'm mixing, whether I'm producing somebody else's work, it's never done. I just choose to stop working on it.
Well, I want to thank you, Reade. Thank you for giving me the time this evening and chatting with the Balls from Ellwood show. And I just want to say in closing, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was an honor to talk to you. And before we go, can you tell everybody how to stay in touch with We Are the Union on the information superhighway, and where we could keep in touch with you, and where, of course, we could get all that great We Are the Union swag?
Absolutely. You can find all things We Are the Union at wearetheunion.net. We're also at We Are the Union on every social media. And you can find me at Reade Are the Union, READE. And you can find me there. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever you like. But those are the spots. Obviously, we're on Spotify and Tidal and all that good stuff too.
I have somebody who wants to meet you. This is
hello. Hello.
This is my baby Izzy.
Hello, Izzy.
Say hi.
Are they hairless?
Yes.
I love hairless cats so much. I've never seen a dark one like that. That's so cool.
I had one when I was younger, and I have to say, they're like, the Sphinx is like the greatest breed ever.
Yeah.
Having a dog in a cat's body. They act exactly like a dog. No, they'll play fetch. Like it's like having the best of both worlds. I have to say, they're loving.
Actually, give a shit about you.
Yeah, they're super intelligent to the point where it's scary. Oh, by the way.
By the way.
Hello. Great to meet you.
I was giggling in the background because I too suffer from ADHD. I'm giggling with you. I feel you.
I have a stepdaughter that has it too. So
yeah, my poor daughter has it too. So Balls here gets to live with us, and it's hard for him. He loves cleaning up after us.
I can imagine. Yeah,
we can magically make in a matter of seconds. And
like you guys are like starting fires, and I'm behind it putting out.
That's how my girlfriend feels too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I know you got to run. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I hope I get to chat with you again. Come back for the Halloween special. We'll tell ghost stories.
I'd love to. Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to send you some trailers. I don't want you to be like, oh, he's a fucking stalker. Right?
No, please. I need to
send you
expand my repertoire.
I think you will like. And thank you so much. Peace and love, Reade.
Bye-bye.